Okay, Chair, we are live streaming.
Great. I would like to call to order this meeting of the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners for Wednesday, May 4th, 2022. Commissioner Hunt is excused, but Commissioner Jacobson and I do constitute a quorum. First off, as we do usually on the first Wednesday of every month, we recognize employees with service milestones of 5 years or more. And Commissioner Jacobson, everybody receives a signed certificate by the 3 commissioners and a service pin as well. So for the folks who are present, Commissioner Jacobson, please come forward when your name's mentioned, and Commissioner Jacobson will hand out the goodies. And if somebody isn't able to be here, we will make sure they get it through inter-county mail. Dominic Barbers, is it? 5 years of service. And I forgot to mention, but it's obvious to everyone in the room that Dominic is with the Sheriff's Office. Janine Archuleta of Community Justice, also 5 years of service.
Casey wants everyone to stay for a while. We haven't done this in this room for a while. We're a little rusty. Okay.
Right. Simon Albrander, Sheriff's Office, 5 years. Derek Etheridge with the Sheriff's Office, 15 years. And finally, the child prodigy who started in law enforcement at a very early age, Lieutenant Jamie Russell of the Sheriff's Office, 30 years of service.
Can we get a photo of you? Katie, you want to jump in there, please? Claire, you want to
Okay.
jump in real fast? All right, perfect. Okay, stand by. All right, 3, 2, 1. Congratulations, thank you.
Next, we introduce people who have newly been hired by the county in the last few weeks, and who is going to handle that?
I will take care of that.
Okay.
My name is Jaylene Cook and I am the Assistant HR Director. Would you like the new hires that are present to stand up for a photo as well?
Yeah, that would be great if,
Yeah, okay,
as their
so when
name
I-
is called, if they could line up by the dry erase board. What do we call it?
Whiteboard.
I'm
Yeah.
so used to saying chalkboard, but okay.
And I do know we have at least one virtual, so I'll just ask them to turn on their camera and make sure to wave when your name is called as well. So Katie Colson is a Community Health Nurse 2, Nurse Family Partnership with HHS. Brandy Jetterberg is returning to us as an Animal Cares Office Specialist for the Sheriff's Office. So please come forward. Tim Johnson is a County Administrator with the Board of Commissioners Office. Kelly Perry, who's virtual today, is our Park Operations Supervisor for Public Works.
Yay.
Isabella McLean is a Youth Care Specialist in the Community Justice Department, Juvenile Division. Jason Spano is returning full-time as a detective in the Sheriff's Office. Shelby Baker is also returning to the Sheriff's Office as a Support Services Technician. Gabrielle Bijou, who was an intern for us, is actually coming on board as a Clinical Counselor 3 for Health and Human Services.
Yay.
James Lawson is joining the Information Technology Department as a Computer Technician. Sarah Vandehay joins as an Office Assistant 2 for Behavioral Health and Health and Human Services. And last, we have Summer Williams, who is an Appraiser 1 in the Assessor's Office.
All right. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Oh, yeah, right.
Well, as we usually say, congratulations to all the new folks coming on board. We hope to see you in 5 years to receive, so you can receive your first service pin, but never hesitate about coming to the commissioner meetings before then. Next up, we have a couple of resolutions. Commissioner Jacobson will read the first one, and I'll read the second one. And Sheriff Landers, I know you're one of the presenters on both, so please come forward if you're here.
All right, and I will start reading. In the matter of proclaiming May 1 through 7th, 2022 as National Correctional Officers Week in Lincoln County. Whereas the President of the United States has designated the first full week of May as National Correctional Officers Week. And whereas one of the primary goals for Lincoln County is to provide its citizens with an effective criminal justice system that concentrates on quality for all of our citizens, and whereas correctional officers' work includes daily exposure in a hostile environment with many of the most dangerous individuals in society, and whereas correctional officers have performed their duties in a most professional and dedicated manner, while at the same time being faced with potential harm to themselves from inmates. Now, therefore, we, the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners, call upon all citizens of Lincoln County and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 1 through 7th, 2022 as National Correctional Officers Week in Lincoln County, in which all of our citizens may honor correctional officers past and present who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have provided dedicated service to their communities, and in so doing have established for themselves an inviolable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens.
First off, I wanted to thank the Board of Commissioners for recognizing this week as National Correctional Officers Week. I'm Sergeant McDowell, Lincoln County Sheriff's Office. I'll be brief. I just wanted to take this moment to say thank you to all 32 correction deputies that we have working here in the Lincoln County Jail. I wanted to recognize the hard work and sacrifices made to call this profession their own. They work long hours both day and night, forgo many of their days off to fulfill overtime obligations, and all this in an environment that can often be mentally, physically, and emotionally challenging. But day in, day out, our team rises to meet those challenges, treating all of our adults in custody with care and compassion, and continually going above and beyond in the pursuit of excellence. Thanks again for recognizing those individuals this week.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you
Yeah.
for presenting that information. Are we ready for a motion?
Yes. I will make a motion that we proclaim May 1st through 7th, 2022 as National Correctional Officers Week in Lincoln County.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Do you
And
want the sheriff to be able to have a?
oh,
did
Sheriff
you have any
Landers is
comments?
online. Do you have anything to add on the proclamation we just adopted?
Thank you, Commissioners. For the record, Curtis Landers, Lincoln County Sheriff, and Sergeant McDowell said it very succinctly and very perfect, I think, as far as what the corrections deputies are going through right now and in this week. Over the last couple of years, as we all know, it's been very challenging, but just a reminder that there's still a lot of restrictions that the corrections deputies have to comply with due to OSHA concerns and others that we hope are going to be lifting soon. They still wear masks inside the facility. There's still a lot of the separations that need to happen. Just a very dedicated group that I'm so proud to work with. And I think they do an excellent job. They have done an excellent job through the last couple of years. Just a couple of reminders too, not to bring up all the negative, but during the one surge that we had a couple months ago, 20 some of the 32 corrections deputies that Sergeant McDowell mentioned came down with COVID during that surge. That provided that the other staff had to work up to 18 hours a day to maintain the jail, because we can't close the doors and go home. We have to keep working. They also continued to work diligently through the virus. They obviously, corrections deputies can't work from home, and they continued to come to work. And so again, I'm just so thankful that we have such a great group of dedicated people that are working every day for us and for the community. So I just want to thank them, and thank you for recognizing this week for them.
Thank you, Sheriff, and thank you, Sergeant McDowell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will read the next proclamation in the matter of proclaiming May 6th through 12th, 2022 as National Nurses Week in Lincoln County. Whereas in 1974, the President of the United States issued a proclamation declaring National Nurses Week, which is traditionally celebrated the week of May 6th through 12th. And whereas there are nearly 3.1 million registered nurses in the United States, which comprise the nation's single largest component of the healthcare profession, and whereas the demand for registered nursing services will be greater than ever because of the aging of the American population, the continuing expansion of life-sustaining technology, and the explosive growth of home healthcare services. And whereas this year's theme for National Nurses Week is a voice to lead, invest in nursing, and respect rights to secure global health. Now, therefore, the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim the week of May 6th through 12th as National Nurses Week in Lincoln County and call upon its citizens to honor nursing students and nurses past and present who, from bedside nursing in hospitals and long-term to jail and juvenile facilities, to the military, to the halls of research institutions, state legislatures, and Congress, are and will be meeting the expanding healthcare needs of American society. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Again, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. And thank you once again for proclaiming National Nurses Week in Lincoln County. I am Lieutenant Jamie Russell, and I serve as your jail commander. Each of you are familiar with the many tasks a nurse completes throughout their shift, working on weekends, holidays, missing children's sporting events, birthdays, and other activities. This profession, no matter where you choose to work, is a 24/7 operation. I am not going to go into detail about each and every duty that our team of nurses accomplishes on any given day, but just know there are no 2 days that are the same. They face each day with challenges, some more challenging than others. They work as a team and face each one of those challenges with professionalism. As defined by Wikipedia, nursing is a profession within the healthcare sector focused on the care of individuals, families, and communities so they may attain, maintain, or recover optimal health and quality of life. The staff that make up your corrections health team are 8 individuals who at any point throughout their shift may wear one of many hats and display many different positive character traits. They're a coach, a mentor, an educator, counselor, medical provider, a listener, and most importantly, a dedicated medical professional who assists with ensuring the safety of our team, the safety of our custodies, and the safety of the facility. Individuals are incarcerated for many different reasons. Most have medical and/or mental health needs requiring attention, some more emergent than others. Nurses want to help make a difference in these individuals' lives. Unfortunately, some don't always want the medical help they may need. Making quick healthcare decisions can be the difference between quantity and quality of life. Some of the more common medical illnesses that your nursing team are handling daily are detox, wound care, chronic disease, mental health, and diabetes. On an average day, and remember, no 2 days are the same, a nurse assesses 15 to 20 patients while also reviewing all new intakes, entering orders from our facility physician, and responding to medical emergencies throughout the facility. And that's just to name a few. We are fortunate in Lincoln County to partner with Oregon Coast Community College, which allows nursing students to work one-on-one with our nurses. This partnership allows for these students to better understand the profession of corrections health nursing. Your corrections health team provides a level of service that exceeds the expectations of many. They have shown what outside the box thinking can achieve. They are truly passionate about the work they do and the service they provide. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Crystal Bowman. I'm the Director of Nursing and Allied Health for Oregon Coast Community College. I can echo much of what Lieutenant Russell just said. I'm really grateful to be here and for this proclamation for this week. It's an important week. My responsibility at the college is to oversee the nursing program, nursing assistant program, medical assistant program, and the EMT program. And we could not do it without the community support, like the jail and other community partners as well. And we just look forward to continuing to increase enrollment and therefore increase the healthcare pipeline in Lincoln County.
Well, thank you so much for what you're doing, because I feel like there has been such an influx of nurses into our community since that program was started. It's really amazing to have that here. And it's also really nice to have an opportunity for locals. I mean, there's been a lot of local people, and you know, when I had my children here in the Newport Hospital, it was like, oh, I went to high school with you. And hello, you know, so anyways, thank you so much for all you do for that program. And I know we've had some nurses become employees of ours after completing that program. So, yeah.
Well said. Want to thank you both for the presentation, and now we will move on to entertaining the actual motion for adoption of this proclamation.
I make a motion proclaiming May 6th through 12th, 2022 as National Nurses Week in Lincoln County.
I happily second that motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's so ordered. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay, now we move on to discussion and information items. And I'm going to switch the order of the two items in the agenda. And first, let's.
Chair, I think we missed the consent calendar.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I see it right up there at the top of the page. The consent calendar items are items that are routine or have been discussed at previous meetings. Is there anything Commissioner Jacobson or staff would like to either highlight or remove from the consent calendar?
Nothing that I need to remove or talk about.
Okay, then
I'll make a motion that we adopt the consent calendar as presented.
I second the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, now we move to discussion and information. And Mr. Kenyon, if you would come forward, please, let's do this asphalt overlay project bid for Sturtevant Road.
Good morning, Chair Hall, Commissioner Jacobson. I'm Roy Kenyon, Public Works Director for Lincoln County. And what I bring to you today is a request to award a bid for, as you say, an asphalt overlay project on Sturtevant Road in Toledo, and also Skelton Road, which is also in Toledo. Bids were received on March 23rd, 2022 at 2 p.m. and publicly read at that time for the overlay of 2.6 miles of rural roads, Sturtevant Road and Skelton Road within Lincoln County. This project requires the application of 7,865 tons of asphalt concrete on Lincoln County roads, along with other associated tasks. Two qualified contractors submitted bids for the work, with the low apparent bid submitted by Road and Driveway of Newport. Bid amounts were as follows. Road and Driveway, $719,082.06. In Knife River of, let's say, Tangent, $971,418.25. The engineer's estimate for this project was $948,493.06. You notice that there's actually a fairly large difference in the amounts of the bids between Road and Driveway and Knife River. And I think that's solely because of the price of fuel and the price of asphalt oil. Road and Driveway being the local contractor for this project probably has roughly 16-mile round trip, whereas the other contractor probably is more in the area of 80 miles. And so that is the difference in the bids.
Well, that answers the one question that I had. So Commissioner Jacobson.
Pretty straightforward. I had the similar question which you just addressed, so I don't have any other questions.
All right, then can we make this either a consent or decision and action item next week? Okay, we'll bring it back next week to finalize. Thanks, Roy.
All right,
Thank you.
All right, now we move to two presentations, two companies seeking the Ambulance Service Award for Lincoln County. And first up is American Medical Response. And would those folks please come forward?
Can I say one thing
Yeah,
about
sure.
process here? This is under discussion information. And so, you know, to the public listening and everybody here, there's not going to be a decision made today. We're going to, you know, hear public comment and then come back at a later date to decide. So just want to make sure everyone understood that process.
Can pull up more chairs if you need to.
Yeah, feel free.
No matter where I sit, I always have a knee at the table leg.
Same, same thing right now. Yeah.
Welcome. If you would introduce yourselves and please go ahead.
Okay, well, good morning, commissioners. We're very grateful for and excited about the opportunity to speak with you today. And we're more excited about the possibility to work with you to improve your emergency medical services system in Lincoln County. My name is Randy Lauer. I'm Vice President of Operations for AMR Northwest. It's American Medical Response. A little bit about me. I'm in my 41st year in EMS in Oregon, starting as a paramedic in 1981. Before that, I was in the Coast Guard, stationed just up the coast at the mouth of the Columbia Cape Disappointment. And before that, along with my mom and dad, I volunteered on the ambulance service in a rural county in South Dakota while I was still in high school. So I graduated from high school, joined the Coast Guard. I love the Coast Guard. And probably one of the most difficult decisions in my life was to make the Coast Guard a career or to pursue my passion as a paramedic. So I opted for the latter, but I didn't completely give up the Coast Guard. I spent another 27 years in reserves and retired with 32 years of combined service. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. And I'd like to introduce my team to you today, and they can talk a little bit about themselves. To my left here is Jamie McDaniels. Jamie is an operations supervisor for us. To my right is Mark Burnham. Mark works with government relations. And far left is Rob McDonald, our operations manager. So I'll turn it over to Rob.
Thank you, Randy. And good morning, commissioners, good morning, county officials. Really happy for the opportunity to talk with you a little bit about our AMR family and some of the commitments to Lincoln County Emergency Services. A little bit about me. In 2002, I started my EMS career in the fire service in Clark County, Washington. In 2004, I started as a paramedic for Clark County AMR in Vancouver, Washington. There, I promoted up through the ranks to operations chief. And then in 2016, I was fortunate to promote to manager of our largest operation in Oregon, Multnomah County. Quick background on AMR Northwest. In 1913, a man by the name of Ben Buck and another man by the name of Frank Shepard founded Oregon Ambulance. In 1927, Frank migrated up to Seattle, where he formed Shepard Ambulance, and Ben remained home, starting Buck Ambulance, who for the next 66 years served the people of Oregon with pride. Thank you. Flash forward to 1993, when AMR Incorporated purchased Buck Ambulance and then incorporated that into AMR Northwest, where we proudly continue to serve the same communities Ben served without a break in service to this day. AMR Northwest has been accredited by the Commission on Ambulance Accreditation since 1992, and we're one of the longest running continuously accredited organizations in the country. AMR Northwest is a subsidiary of AMR Incorporated, which rolls up to our parent company, Global Medical Response. To the left of your slide here, you're seeing, excuse me. To the left of your slide, you're seeing data related to our parent company, GMR, or Global Medical Response. GMR was formed in 2018 when AMGH, the largest air provider in the country, and AMR, the largest ground provider in the country, commingled and combined to create the largest air and ground provider in the world. We offer full spectrum solutions to not only include air and ground transport, but fire suppression, nurse triage lines, telemedicine, online ordering platforms for hospitals, and patient care reporting systems that can be shared with our fire partners at little or no cost. Being a part of GMR gives us stable financial backing, purchasing power, and bench strength. We can maintain sustainability in a fiscally challenging environment or through large-scale crises such as COVID. We can bring national strength to our local operations where and when it's needed. On the right side, you'll see a graphic representation of our footprint in Oregon today. I'll give you a moment just to view that. We want to bring to Lincoln County a customized deployment. We want to bring the brand new latest ambulances, the newest equipment, and we want to give our providers in the field all the equipment necessary to provide gold standards of care. We want to focus on attracting and retaining the best personnel, and we want to use our national footprint to invite people to the Oregon coast to consider working here. We do so with an eye towards increasing the diversity of our workforce with the goal to reflect the community we serve. We're a solutions-based culture we seek to explore not only how we can serve as a transport provider, but also how we can improve the EMS system as a whole. Apologies, I'm doing 2 slides. Admittedly, we're still learning a little bit more about Lincoln County EMS. We've had very productive talks with EMS leadership in the area. We provided important intel as to the pinch points in your system and what really matters to them. We hope to continue these conversations and generate more with our team this week, some of which will be here and available to meet with any interested party over the next few days. We're an organization who has time and again gone into distressed EMS systems and provided innovation and flexibility to attain the larger goal of improving the care for the citizens we serve. We'll take what we learn while serving Lincoln County to find ways to remove friction in the system, explore cost-effective means to provide services, and improve relationships with hospitals and fire agencies in the area. To further detail, we propose to deploy a dynamic staffing model constructed after careful data review and receiving input from the decision makers in the county. We want to improve ambulance availability in your 911 system, regardless of seasonality. We want to provide a dependable solution to service the hospitals in their need to move their patients. We'll have mobile data terminal computers in each ambulance that are connected to Lincoln County's Emergency Dispatch Center. Our overarching goal, both in that way and in all other ways, is transparency. We want county oversight and our fire partners to know where we are and what we're doing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in near real time. The mobile data computer provides that. We'll bring with us new vehicles and equipment. And while the list you see on the slide is finite, we have enormous purchasing power and allows us to access most vendors in the country. Should Lincoln County wish to explore other cutting edge equipment, which we're familiar with, such as video laryngoscopy or mechanical CPR devices, we're committed to share our purchasing power with the fire departments in Lincoln County to make those purchases. Our goal is a frictionless transition for you and the local workforce. We start with a detailed needs assessment with our first focus on what we believe is the most important part of any EMS agency, the people with the boots on the ground doing the work. We want to know what matters to them most first. We use our national strength to procure the brand new ambulances and equipment, which is important to note because in the current market, ambulance vehicle supply and medical supply have all been disrupted because of COVID. Our size allows us, for lack of a better term, to get in the front of the line for purchasing those items. It's clear from the input we've received so far, you desire an EMS system customized, not just for 2022, but beyond. We are confident we can provide that. I want to thank you all for the time with me today. I'm honored with the opportunity to speak on ways we can contribute to Lincoln County EMS, not just as a vendor, but as a partner. I'd like to pass to Jamie now to provide more information on integrating with the incumbent workforce and our unique abilities to both expand deployment or modify deployment in novel ways at a moment's notice. Jamie?
Thanks, Ron. Thank you, Commissioners, for allowing us to be here today. My name is Jamie McDaniel. I'm an operations supervisor and I've worked for AMR for 20 years in Clackamas and Multnomah County. AMR understands things have changed and it's been rough the last 2 years with COVID and the economy. There's been unstable staffing with fire departments, EMS, medication and equipment shortages. Hospitals are severely understaffed, and there have been increasing social and mental health issues, which result in increasing 911 calls. We want to come and stabilize your community. How are we going to do this? We're going to offer employment to all of your existing paramedics and EMTs that live and work here locally. We are also an organization that for over 30 years have worked in partnership with unions. Every employee will be given a work offer from AMR with no change in seniority or wages. And in fact, they'll get an increase in their benefits. Next. We're going to come in and custom fit the perfect amount of ambulances and staff for you. We have the ability in times of crisis or increased call volume to bring in help from across the state and the nation. A couple of examples are, in 2017, Oregon had hundreds of thousands of people come into the state for the eclipse. Many small towns and communities had so many tourists, there wasn't enough fire, medical, or police to take care of the increased numbers. Oregon Health Authority reached out to AMR to assist with the demands. We sent 12 ambulances to small communities and integrated ourselves with the local fire departments to keep the public safe. And it was a success, if you remember. March 2020, COVID hit, as you all are aware. I believe it was Friday the 13th was the actual date. Hospitals and nursing homes were overwhelmed. We actually placed paramedics and EMTs across the state in these facilities to help with their patient needs. Once the vaccine came out, we went across the state and provided vaccines to homeless and homebound patients. We still continue to provide boosters to these same communities, including here in Newport. Next one. AMR provides itself on the strong relationships we have with local fire departments and hospital systems. But we've also learned to take care of our own in times of crisis. The Riverside Fire in 2020 threatened our community in Clackamas County. Fire departments weren't able to run medical calls as they were fighting the fires. Our own employees were being evacuated. Within 24 hours of crisis, we had a strike team of 8 ambulances from our sister AMR in Washington to cover the local 911 so our own employees could tend to their families and homes. Next slide. AMR has more resources and support than any other ambulance provider in the nation. We have never walked away from the community. In fact, we have the FEMA contract, and over the last 2 years, we have been able to deploy 750 ambulances to the East Coast with each COVID surge. We also want to be a part of your community, whether we're doing disaster drills for earthquakes or tsunamis, to just making sure there is someone to provide first aid at the Friday night football game. We want to be there. Thank you for listening to me. And now my colleague, Mark Burnham.
Good morning. Thank you for letting us be here. I'm Mark Burnham. I'm our Governmental Affairs Director. I've been with AMR since 1997, and I've worked in several different divisions. I was our business development spokesperson, worked in operations, and then I also worked as our National Director for our fire services across the United States until Randy made me come back and work in our Governmental Affairs Department in Oregon and throughout the region. I get to start off our slide with the thing that excites me most, and that's our employees. You know, we come and we approach our employees with certain things, and here's start off with Just Culture. Just Culture really seeks to empower our team rather than just punish them for something they've done wrong during a situation. So what we try to do is work through the Just Culture to make sure that they have the support and help they need to not be afraid to go back out and do what they do day to day. Our therapy dog program, and actually the slide says 30, but we're up to 39 as of this last week. I was at the Stars of Life in Washington, D.C. Just a couple days ago, and I was walking around talking with our crews and people, and everyone was being super nice to me, and I was all excited that people liked me until it dawned on me that Dex, our therapy dog, was following me. And Dex was walking up and doing what we call a lean in on certain people. You know, they know who needs support, and they walk up and they lean in on them, people get to pet them. So it's amazing to see the smiles on faces and the relief that happens through our therapy dog program. Employee assistance, you know, COVID hit everyone hard. And it's interesting because people say to me, boy, you guys really are lucky to be an ambulance company during COVID because you must be making a lot of money. Absolutely not, because our transports have gone down by over 35%. And one thing that didn't happen is we didn't lay off a single employee. We repurposed people. We moved them into different things, like Jamie said, and sent them across the region doing the vaccines. So we didn't lay people off. Another thing we didn't do is we didn't forget that they need support. Being home and not being able to send their children to school, we provided a $750 childcare stipend to make sure our employees are taken care of. And the other thing that was unprecedented is that when our employees were forced to go into quarantine, they were paid for that time that they were in quarantine because it's just the right thing to do. Another thing that we have is our local critical incident stress management teams. And we could send our people to licensed clinical social workers. One of the things we find is that peer-to-peer counseling works best. When you are able to communicate with someone who's seen the same terrible things that you've seen, you can relate to them better, and it's something that's been a big drive of ours to make sure that our program is peer-to-peer. Community outreach on our next slide. You know, we love to take our message to the street. We love to get out and work with people. We do events where we do bystander CPR. We'll roll up the voodoo donuts where people are standing around and jump out, turn on the music and teach, 50 people who are waiting in line for a donut about how to do proper bystander CPR. And because it's the right thing to do. We focus on window falls and safe kid events. We like to go out and go into the schools. We teach the Stop the Bleed program, DUI awareness. Our leadership and employees are encouraged and encouraged to just get out and be part of the community. Like myself, I was a chairman of the local regional chamber. I'm also the vice president of Oregon Impact that goes across the state and does DUI impact information. So, we like to be out in the community. And our next slide, we want to support the people that work with us. We support our first responders, people who are doing things like Rob said. We provide supply, restock, and we give our partners our national purchasing power so they can enjoy what we do, and that is lower prices by the bulk purchase. One thing that is even more important is joint training opportunities, because when we can get together with our fire partners and ourselves and everyone can communicate and understand what each other's role is, the scenes work much better when we're out there during an emergency. Hospital situations, on our next slide, we provide solutions like dedicated call lines for the hospital, like for our kids team in Portland, dedicated units that are stationed at the hospital themselves, and then also leased units that gives the hospital the discretion to use those units however they see fit and when they need them during their surge time. Transportation coordinators to help the hospital to throughput, because we don't want to have a hospital on divert when we're bringing a patient that needs to be there and have to go somewhere else. And on our next slide, we talk about relationships. We seek to go beyond just being an ambulance company. Knowing the community and what they need and how we can provide that is what's important. During last year's unprecedented heat wave, part of our community was forgotten. And, sorry, I get emotional during this part. Part of our community was forgotten, and that community was the homeless population. And in the Portland area, one of the things I did is I called Randy Lauer and I said, we need to do something. So we put together a mobile hydration station, and I spent 4 days, Randy joined me a couple days, and we went across the area, Clackamas County, Multnomah County, passed out over 3,000 bottles of waters, electrolytes, fruit, and protein bars to people who've been forgotten. And I just want to remind people, we want to remove the bias, and we want to make sure people understand that just because someone's homeless or houseless doesn't mean they're not part of our community. They are part of our community. They're someone's child, they're someone's mother, they're someone's father, and we want to treat them the same. So it's important to us. And in our next to last slide, why is it important? Why are we AMR, our Oregon roots? You heard that we're a big national company and the world's largest ambulance company. Who cares? What matters is that we're locally led, we're regionally supported. Randy is our president. And the great thing is when he needs national support, he goes to them and says, this is what we need. And it was evident that's what we got during the wildfires and things like that. And our Oregon roots help us be unique in this area. We're unique because we understand what Oregonians need. And what Oregonians need is innovation. Several of our unique programs like River Rescue, Mountain Rescue, our mobile healthcare program, just to name a few, those came out of the necessities of things that are unique to Oregonians. And just because we don't have a program now doesn't mean we won't have it tomorrow. We look to see what people need and work with that. And then lastly, I just need you to know on this last slide that one thing that's important to us at AMR is that we do not bid on contracts unless we believe 100% we would be a long-term solution and that we can commit long-term to communities that we want to work with and innovate with. But the main issue facing us right here today is this issue, is that we only have 20 minutes to really tell our AMR story, and that it's interesting because our story is not just a story, but really it's a novel about innovation, participation, and collaboration of life-saving programs that we have grown and brought out of the necessity of what is unique about Oregon and what we've learned over the past 100 years working in Oregon. So I just want to thank you all for letting us be here, and I'm going to pass it back to Mr. Lauer.
All right, now this is the time we have scheduled for questions.
Is there anything else you wanted
I'm
to say
sorry.
though?
No, I was just gonna
Okay.
say, if we have some time left, we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Sure, I have a few, and I wouldn't be surprised if Commissioner Jacobson does as well. What led you, this is the first time AMR has made a proposal for Lincoln County service. And why are you doing it now? And how long has this application been in the works?
Okay, great question. Thank you. We were contacted by some leaders in the fire service here when the ASA plan came open for review, which is that, you know, it's the opportunity for other interested providers to express that interest. And so we had some conversations with some of the leadership in the EMS here, and it felt that there was a need and that there were some opportunities for us and some solutions we could bring to Lincoln County. So when we learned of that opportunity, we got our heads together really quickly and put together our application, and here we are.
Thank you. You're bidding on 4 of the 5 service areas. Why did you not include ASA 5?
The ASA 5 is the local provider. It's a different provider serving that. And from all the information that we gathered, talking to folks here, people are fairly happy with service, and that's ASA.
Okay, one more question. I mean, this whole presentation, I think, has addressed the question, but if you had to boil it down to a short list of bullet points, an elevator speech, what does AMR offer that the current provider does not offer, or why would you be an improvement?
I think it's, thank you. I think it's bench strength. It's having a lot of resources available to support and help at a moment's notice when we need it. While at the same time operating as a local provider. We very much like to be ingrained in the community. Our people get involved with the community, both on duty and off duty, and having that in place. So during COVID, staffing was a problem for all kinds of providers, healthcare and other industries, as you know, and we were able to keep staffing very well sustained because we have that depth of bench.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Jacobson, questions?
Yeah, I have several questions that I wrote notes on, so kind of bear with me here. You kind of just explained one of them, but I was hoping you go a little deeper. You talk about bench strength a lot as, you know, something your company has. I mean, when it comes to Lincoln County, what specifically would that bench strength offer here?
It's probably in just resource deployment and staffing is the advantage. So if there's a disaster on the coast, that earthquake and tsunami happens, we can bring a lot of resources in very quickly with our role with FEMA as the National Disaster Ambulance Contractor. As Jamie mentioned, at one point in New York and New Jersey's EMS systems were overwhelmed. We sent in 750 ambulances. I worked there for 60 to 90 days until they got kind of recovered and their feet back underneath them. So it's that kind of things when the bad things happen, when the worst things happen, and you really need help and you really need it now. You should just have to come to us and say, what are you going to do to help? And we'll tell you everything we have at our disposal to bring to Lincoln County to help through whatever that event or even a series of events may be.
Okay, thank you.
And I just want to add to one thing that Randy said is that, you know, he said, you just need to come to us, but sometimes we just provide a solution. So when the fires were happening in Clackamas County, the county didn't come to us. No one came to us. Randy said, we need extra units here to make sure our people, our employees are able to go evacuate their homes. And so we stood up our own emergency command center. All of us in this room were up 24 hours a day, working the command center. We brought in people from Seattle, Spokane. They came down and when it was done, people started saying, wait a second, how did all these nursing homes have all this information on evacuation? It's because Randy put me in charge of that. How did the hospitals know this? Because Randy put Rob in charge of that. We started reaching out to them, letting them know if you need to be evacuated, this is what we do. I went through and collected all the numbers of the people in the nursing homes, who was bedbound, who could be moved by a bus, who could be moved by this. And we had a list. We started making our list of how we were going to do it before anyone asked us to. And the interesting thing was Sheriff Roberts at the time came to me and said, did I hear you guys had your own command center? Because I was talking to people and they keep saying this and this and this. And we didn't tell people, you know, we told important people in the thing, but we weren't telling the media, we weren't telling, because it was just what we needed to do. We needed to make sure our people were taken care of at that time and our community. So we're not always just gonna wait. We're gonna look and see what kind of resources we can start to bring ahead of time as well.
Okay, thank you. So let's talk about staffing for a moment. One of the serious challenges we have in Lincoln County is housing. And every workforce program that wants to come here, every business that wants to come here, and even us asking ourselves this as being an employer, my question is, how are you going to address housing? Because you might be able to find the workers, but they're not going to be able to find a place to live. So do you have a plan? Have you thought about that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. One of the nice examples I think that explains this well is an operation that's also part of our AMR Northwest community in Pierce, South Dakota. I don't know if you've ever been to South Dakota, but you certainly he has.
North Dakota.
But you can go there and you can feel like you're the only person in South Dakota sometimes. So there's not a whole lot there. But because of the depth and breadth, we were able to deploy Portland, Oregon certified paramedics there for 60 days or 90 days. And they lived there and they worked. And a lot of our paramedics, they come to us because of the opportunities in all the places. I could envision, for example, I know summer there's a seasonal impact in summer for EMS here. And we can build the deployment and pull resources from our larger operations, including my own, to work these for periods of time through seasonality challenges.
Okay, so where are the workers going to live though? I guess that's my question. Yeah.
Directly to that
Yeah.
question, we understand that, and that's honestly going to be the challenge we have, to do a relatively quick startup. We believe we can co-locate with some fire departments in the interim as we find facilities to house our people. And the workforce is here today. Is the workforce you want to keep here today. So that's why we're going to offer every EMT and paramedic who works here today opportunity for employment.
Okay, that gets to my next question. I think somewhere in here you said that so offering existing, ambulance workers in the community that you would increase, or excuse me, that you would offer them their positions, including increased benefits. What exactly would those increased benefits be?
It really, well, having been a unionized workforce, or having had a unionized workforce for over 30 years, and healthcare benefits are very important to people, as you know. So the healthcare plan that our workforce has is probably one of the best in the state. They still have actually a $5 Kaiser copay available to them. A lot of paid time off, there's bereavement leave, other kinds of leaves that people can take. Just a plethora of benefits we provide to employees beyond healthcare, paid time off, as I mentioned, but providing uniforms, the best equipment, taking care of them when they need help. It is probably the most important thing an employer can do, is to take care of your employees, because they are in fact the people who take care of our patients. And that's what this is all about.
Okay, thanks. Just to note, we don't have Kaiser here. So
I know.
we're in the Samaritan area, so that doesn't help a whole lot. But so I think you kind of touched on this, but you said in the rapid implementation, the 90-day turnaround, bullet point 4, temporary facilities in place with community providers. Is that kind of the fire district you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah, we've actually been very fortunate, Commissioner, to have some of the fire agency leadership here already reach out to us, which is where what started this whole thing for us. But they've really been very specific. Like, we're willing to find places for you to get this going.
Okay, and let me go through my little notes here. That might be it.
I have one question. So how many ambulances would you staff here locally? How many would be always in the county?
There wasn't a lot of data available to analyze to really fine tune a deployment plan. So we would start with essentially what the current deployment is, 7 to 8 ambulances, kind of dynamically deployed so that they're not all on 24-hour shifts. They largely be 12-hour shifts. And that's today's state of affairs. And then as we gather the data and analyze it, we'll be able to refine and fine tune that in terms of when we want to have an ambulance deployed, what hour, day of the week, and where they should be stationed for the best response time.
Okay.
And a follow-up question from my previous one. So temporary facilities with fire stations. Yeah, I mean, what's the plan then to build or have permanent locations? Is that part of the kind of, data you're gathering or?
Yeah, so we essentially would engage realtors to find commercial real estate, central building that then there would take some time to do the tenant improvements and to build it out the way it's needed. We'd start that right away. And then because we wouldn't have 24-hour shifts, there wouldn't need to be sleeping facilities for the on-duty crews. So they could station out of places where they could get some comfort, restrooms, just something available for them to get out of the ambulance, sit down, relax, catch up on paperwork, whatever they need to do to sort of rejuvenate for the next call.
Okay.
That's all the questions I have for right now.
All right, same here. So again, thank you for your time and this presentation. And while we're switching presenters, maybe we could ask County Council Yule to update us on what will be the timeline from here in terms of decision making.
My proposal is to bring it back for a discussion on the 18th of May.
Okay.
And just if you get any public input from now until then, and then decide on a decision. So our ASA bids would be awarded to start at the end of June. So July 1 would be the start date.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
And now let's invite our team from Pacific West Ambulance to come forward and we'll hear from them next.
Good morning, and thank you for letting us be here today and present. I'll give you all a break and won't talk hardly at all. I'll let Jeff Mathio take us along here this morning.
Mr. Futon, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm JD Featon, and I am the owner of Metro West Ambulance and Pacific West Ambulance, second generation ambulance company owner. And I actually started Pacific West Ambulance 35 years ago on the 10th of June. And that was our first operation that we did away from the home company, and started in Lincoln City that many years ago.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Mathai. I'm the General Manager for Pacific West Ambulance. I am a Lincoln County resident. I've been with Pacific West Ambulance for 6 years now. I've been with the Metro West Ambulance family of companies for the last 18 years. I started off at the very bottom ranks as a vehicle service technician and worked my way up through this position today. I'm a current active critical care paramedic. I work in the field, so I do both the administration and participate in providing care in our community. Feeling would be kind of rushed. I got 20 minutes to put 35 years of commitment to the county here. So I'll do my best to try to convey all the important information that I'm looking to convey. Again, we're not a large corporate structure. It's very much started off as a family business and has grown to 10 different ambulance companies within the Metro West family of companies. I report to JD. So when something needs to be done, I have one person to go to, we make a decision and we get it done. We own 2 buildings in Lincoln County, one location in Newport here and one location in Lincoln City. We also rent posting quarters for a couple of our crew positions out in Toledo and Waldport. The services that we provide is actually quite a bit besides just basic ambulance service. We are, of course, the contracted 911 emergency ambulance provider here in Lincoln County, but we also provide non-emergency stretcher transport, wheelchair and comfort cart services for people who need to get home from the hospital or make their doctor's appointment that can't travel. We provide billing services here locally to handle all, if not most of the Metro West family of companies. And we kind of chose that on purpose, and I'll go into that a little bit later. We have vehicle service shops here in our facilities, so we can service our vehicles here locally. We do special event staffing. We've even been asked during the COVID crisis when other companies not been able to provide to assist with those. And we do what we can, but our community comes first. Disaster response. I'm going to go into that quite a bit towards the end because we've actually participated in 3 separate disasters here in Lincoln County within the last 6 years that I've been
Kind of
here.
felt like one big one in 2020,
Yeah,
but yeah.
We're also currently partnering with the hospital to provide a one-call solution. So instead of the ER techs or nurse taking 30 minutes to try to find a transport for somebody, they'll make one call and we'll find that transport, whether it be Pacific West, whether it be one of our mutual aid partners. Our goal is to get that patient to where they need to go. And yeah, we all know staffing and everything is a tough time right now for folks. But I actually have an answer to that too. Even life flight, coast time, winter, very hard to fly a helicopter during the winter time. We provide them with a EMT and an ambulance if that is what it takes to get a patient to where they need to go. The one thing I know that we offer for our citizens of Lincoln County is a Lifeguard membership. And what that does is provides the citizens of Lincoln County, if they have an ambulance transport, of course, we bill the insurance, but sometimes there's a balance left over, that deductible and stuff. This $59 membership, we waive that. Or if another provider happened to transport it, we take care of that. We have reciprocal agreements with other providers. 15 to 20% of Lincoln County residents take part in that Lifeguard membership. Over 1,400 people took advantage of that Lifeguard membership last year alone. In fact, this program should be showing up in your mailboxes right now, so to say. Personnel, this is one I actually take great pride in. We are 74 employees strong. We have an annual payroll cost of approximately $4.5 million a year. We employ 40 EMT and paramedics. 80% of them live here in Lincoln County. We employ 9 wheelchair department employees. 100% of them are Lincoln County residents. We also provide 22 billing office positions, posting office positions. 91% of them are Lincoln County residents. The point that I'm trying to make is we do hire locally. We do encourage local housing and so on. We have a shop employee, an IT. We even look at a vehicle service technician. We have a young man that was with North Lincoln Fire for a little bit, is a special needs person. We've actually brought this person in and helped service our vehicles by cleaning quarters, things like that, providing him a paycheck and some work experience. Warren's been with us for over 5 years now doing that. We purposely chose to hire our billers in our posting office here in Lincoln County for really one major reason. There are a lot of jobs in Lincoln County, especially now they're currently available, but a lot of them are part-time. A lot of them don't offer healthcare benefits and so on. We purposely want to give the opportunity to at least 22, if not more, of our billers and posters have full-time work with full-time benefits. Same thing with our shop employee. Most of our employees are full-time employees with benefits. We have a just culture. I've been trained in just culture. I'm a big proponent of just culture. I don't believe somebody should be fired just at random because somebody's in a bad mood that day. I believe that they need to be justly treated. And we promote that culture at Pacific West. We have an in-staff chaplain that not only assists with Lincoln County, but is an employee of Pacific West Ambulance.
And even comes to county commission meetings.
And even comes to the county commission meetings. Our dollars are spent in the community. We support the community. We use local vendors. For example, our auto parts, we use the local auto parts store. If something needs to be done by a dealership, we use the local dealerships. We buy our groceries. We buy our office supplies here locally. We assist the fire department with their supplies. Yeah, we actually purchased most of those for them. If they use something on a medical scene, we replace it. If it's about to expire, we exchange it. So we try to keep that cost to the fire departments at a bare minimum. We do multiple donations to different communities. We're part of the Chamber of Commerce's. You know, we want and are well involved in Lincoln County. Samaritan Foundation, we're just talking to them the other day, talking about contributing $30,000 to their rehab facility that they want to build here in Newport. We've done multiple events with the Samaritan Foundation, participated in a lot of their fundraising events, contributed to them. Again, we want to be good stewards and good partners in the community that we are serving. Talk about our clinical and quality assurance programs. So we, right now, as of today, we have 6 critical care paramedics within Pacific West Ambulance. We have a respiratory therapist on staff to assist us if we have a patient that's intubated and needs to get out of town. The hospital clearly can't send their nurse. They're short-staffed too. We have the ability to adapt current practice into our protocol with no delays. We have a physician advisor that's been with us for 35 years. It's Dr. Erling Oxenhold, who is currently the ER physician or director with Samaritan Hospital at North Lincoln, has his own practice, is state recognized as an emergency medical director for ambulance services. We participate in most of the committees, the Fire Defense Board, the Ambulance Service Review Committees. We also participate at the state level. We're members in the Oregon State Ambulance Association, the American Ambulance Association, the Commission on Ambulance Accredited Services. Sean Baird, who's our Vice President of Regional Rural Services, is actually the president of the American Ambulance Association. JD's been a longstanding member with the AAA. Our protocols, they're very robust. We just got done talking with Samaritan Hospitals about a little difference in our stroke protocol. When somebody's having a stroke, we're going to treat them a little differently, get them where they need to go a little quicker. Same thing if somebody's having a heart attack. We have a protocol not to stop at the local hospital that really can't do much for them. We take them straight to a catheterization lab to get what they need to survive their heart attack. We even administer the medications that would normally be given in an ER while we're en route to the facility for that higher level of care. We've grown. I started here in 2016, 7,400 calls a year. We're now sitting at 9,600 calls a year, and we're already on track to do well over 10,000. We've seen close to a 30% increase in our trips. We're doing about 800 calls for service every month. And we're still doing that, even though we're short-staffed, but we're working on that. We're figuring that out. Our wheelchair, the folks that don't need to go home by stretcher, but do need to get home. We do 4,700 of those trips a year. We have a very robust mutual aid agreement with North Lincoln Fire. If we're down in ambulance or need an ambulance because the volume is so hectic, they step up. They can transport to the hospital. They can assist us, cover us while we go out of town if we have a critical patient that needs to go out. And that's worked very well for us over the last couple of years. Staffing, and I know that's heavy on everybody's mind. So, Pacific West doesn't sit there and less staffing, it's the way it is. No, we're pursuing that and we're pushing that. We have 2 paramedics in the local college paramedic programs getting ready to graduate. They're currently in their internships with us right now. They'll be done in a couple months. We have 4 paramedic students in a company-sponsored paramedic program where we've paid everything. We pay their tuition. We pay them to go to school. We pay them for their internship. We pay them for their clinicals. The best thing about it, they don't have a student loan after paramedic school. It's paid. They give us a 2-year commitment. And right now, 90% of my employees have signed a 2-year commitment to stay with Pacific West Ambulance. We have 12 EMTs that just got done with the local EMT project, local EMT school at Oregon Coast Community College. 2 of those are Pacific West employees. I'll have 2 more EMTs very quickly here to my staff. We just hired an Oregon-based temporary staffing company to help fill our holes immediately. They're arriving in Lincoln County May 9th. I already have a house for them. I've already secured a place for them to stay. Not only do I have living quarters in my two owned buildings, they're welcome to stay there, but we actually have a house for them to move into. Our company-owned buildings consist of a total of 20,000 square feet to provide and perform our services. Sorry. We had those buildings constructed to critical access specifications, so they're meeting earthquake standards, they're out of the tsunami zone. We have backup generators in each facility. We have sleeping areas, living areas. We have a 4,500 gallon diesel tank. I'm not relying on a gas station or fuel station that has no electricity, such as the Echo Mountain Fire. We're able to fuel our vehicles. Equipment. We don't need to go purchase 10 ambulances. I already have 10 ambulances. New 2018 or newer, a couple of them being rotated out, 2 of which are 4-wheel drive. We have power loading equipment, not just the power gurney, but the actual device that takes the gurney, lifts it up, puts it in the back of the ambulance. That is a significant savings of a paramedic and EMT's back. Their number one injury in EMS is backs. We take steps to try to minimize that. Our 4 wheelchair vans, all replaced last year. 2 comfort cars, maybe they don't need a wheelchair, they just need a ride, almost like a taxi in a way. One of them's an electric vehicle, trying to be environmentally correct, and the other is a diesel one. We have a robust preventative maintenance program. It provides reliability and minimal downtime for our ambulances. We carry the latest equipment already. We already have video laryngoscopes. We have the latest in Zoll monitors and so on. And we chose that equipment specifically with the hospital in mind. So when we get there, we're not spending time changing over all kinds of equipment. We unplug one thing, plug it into their monitor, provides for better continuity of care. We have the additional ambulance with North Lincoln Fire, as I kind of alluded to earlier. Again, they've been a great partner, as has Yachats and some of our other surrounding agencies. We do get times where there are multiple calls that we just can't plan for. So again, in closing, and again, trying to condense the 35 years here quick is rugged, but for 35 years, we've been here in Lincoln County in one form or another. We've been through the highs and lows here in Lincoln County. Our debts and roots are in this community. We make our decisions and what we do to be lifelong partners here in the community. Eclipse, I had 11 ambulances here in the county, ready to respond to this big wave of issues we thought was going to occur. Luckily, fortunately, it did not occur, right? We were here for the Echo Mountain Fire. I didn't need to call a disaster team in because when the hospital came to me in the ER, when I was dropping off a patient, go, we need to evacuate the hospital. I had units there at the hospital within 30 minutes. I put out an all call to order all paramedics and EMTs into quarters, report to the county for work. 82% of them showed up within an hour. We in total had 94% of all of my paramedics and EMTs within 3 hours in Lincoln County, ready to go. And we did an astronomical amount of call volume during that fire, and we handled all of that. COVID, we were the leader next to Samaritan and North Lincoln Fire. We were vaccinating first responders the minute that became available. We were vaccinating the elderly population. We set up clinics. We went up and down the coastline, making sure people were getting their vaccinations in process. Cascadia, we're prepared. We've been training for this for the last 6 years that I've been here. We do tabletop exercises. We know where our resources are going to be coming from. Yeah, sure, we're going to get FEMA because we got an excellent emergency manager, Jenny Damaris. She knows what she's doing. She's going to help us find those resources, going to get us those FEMA resources. So with that, again, I want to thank you for your time and give this opportunity to ask a question. But before I do that, if I may, I do have 4 letters of reference and recommendations from 4 out of our 7 fire departments. I'd like to hand to the commissioners, please.
Are these,
We
I
have
think
those.
they're in the.
You have those?
packet.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. All right, awesome. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
You ready for questions?
I am.
I asked the AMR team this, but I know the whole presentation is making your case to continue as the ambulance service provider for the majority of the county. And you said the challenge of condensing 35 years into 20 minutes, but I'm going to ask you to do something maybe even more difficult. Boil it down to just a few bullet points.
Sure.
If you were making the case to us or anybody else in the community.
So it boils down to staffing, right? That's on everybody's mind, staffing, how are we staffing our agencies? Again, we're taking the steps to get these folks in. By July 1st through 15th, we'll have 6 additional paramedics on our staff, not including the 2 that are arriving May 9th. That's going to put us above what our minimal staffing would need be to service the county. I'm gearing up for summertime where we do need to have 7, 8 ambulances on during the day part and 5 to 6 at night. Right now our minimum to us by the county contract, our minimums 1 ambulance per ASA. That's not sufficient. 4 does not do it. It works, it's tough, but we need to be 5 to 6 during the day and 4 to 5 at night. That is what really, I believe, in my experience of doing this a while, serves the citizens of Lincoln County. Response times, we're working on that also. Short staffing has created issues with that. But as I look back in our reports, and you'll actually see it in the ASRC minutes, this upcoming meeting we have next week, when we have a long response, we're not missing it by 20, 30, 40 minutes. We're missing by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. And in some areas, having one long response in a certain zone, we need 10 good responses to make that up. We may not get enough responses to make that one up. So we look at our data, we look at it daily. We do a needs assessment daily. And we talk to the hospitals daily. What transfers do you have going out today? We page out for an extra unit if we need to put an extra unit on, and so on. So really, it's improving our staffing model and getting our response times back where they need to be. Those are the 2 big bullet points, and everything else, we're participating in the community. We are part of it. We feel we are part of the community.
Thank you. One other question, when I asked AMR what kind of led them to submit a proposal this year, they mentioned some communication from people in the local fire services. I know you have letters of support from 4 of the 7 chiefs, but could you elaborate a little more on the relationship with the local fire service providers?
So until as of recent, I really wasn't aware we're having some issues. There is one particular agency, and I really hate to, I don't want to call anybody out, okay? But I'm all about keeping our relationships with the fire agency, which is evident in the letters of support we received. They all have my phone number. They can call me day or night. I go and visit them. We do have one particular agency that we're a little strained in, but I'm willing to work with them. I am willing to resolve whatever needs to be resolved, but it kind of has to be a 2-way street too.
Commissioner Jacobson, questions?
Well, I had the same question you just asked, so I'm good there. But yeah, so I have several. This kind of flipped through the notes I took. So on I think it was the second slide, you have ability to make immediate decisions on behalf of Pacific West Ambulance. Like, say a little bit more about that.
Okay. Payroll structure. If I need to give somebody a bonus to come in and cover a shift, I don't have to run up my corporate chain. I can make that decision and be done. If I need to have a vehicle service, it might be expensive service. I have the ability to make those decisions. JD entrusts me to manage the business as if it was my own personal business. And whatever business decisions need to be made, I have the authority to make those decisions. Hiring authority, defending any complaints. I guess it's hard to elaborate on that, but I, for the most part, in many things, am the final decision maker. I don't have to run it through committees and things like that, and run it up the corporate chain, so to say.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to personnel, you said 40 EMT and paramedics. Is that actual people you have now, or is that when you're fully staffed?
As of today, as of about 4 days ago, and nobody's resigned since.
Okay, so as of 4 days ago, you're at 40 EMT and paramedics. And is that like, how many staffing openings do you still have?
So right now, I have 2 open shifts that the 6 paramedics that are coming in are going to easily fill that. We've been purposely over hiring EMTs right now, because what we found is having that BLS ambulance, that basic life support ambulance, to take the patients home from the hospital to MRI appointments at another facility is highly beneficial. It doesn't pull a paramedic unit out of our 911 system. So that's something that's going to come to fruition here pretty quick, is that type of unit.
So are you doing over hires to adjust for vacancies? Is that the strategy you're using? currently?
To add to services, actually.
All
Yeah,
right.
right now, my EMT spots are full. The extra EMTs that I'm hiring are to build that BLS ambulance to provide even better service to hospitals, especially for these discharges.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Your term actually described it better. You're overhiring to compensate for the openings.
This is something that we are starting to discuss with the sheriff's office, actually, for deputies, is that strategy. Haven't made a decision there, but having.
So we've
having talks
never,
about it.
even when times were good, we're always actively recruiting, because there are the challenges in Lincoln County. Number one, getting them here to the coast, but then finding them the housing. I've kind of got in the back pocket, I have a couple apartments that are just been built that we have access to if we need it. So.
That was
again,
my next question, was housing. So just keep elaborating. Yeah.
So I just signed in a lease today on the house for the temporary folks to come and stay in. But new paramedics, part of our recruitment is offering this house as a place to stay. Given we haven't decided on a time limit yet, because it really depends what the housing market looks like. But new paramedics coming in with their family or even a couple, can come in, know that, hey, at least I'm not going to have the hotel live for the next 3-4 months while I try to find a place to live. I've experienced that myself personally. I was fortunate. I had a couple people tell me, hey, I'm moving out, get into it. But even that took me 2 months to find housing. When my landlord decided to sell the house in Lincoln City, luckily, connections, I was able to find a place in Waldport. But realistically, I see my employees anywhere from 30 days to sometimes as long as 6 months trying to find a place to live and trying to be able to afford a place to live. So.
Yeah. My last question is under calls for service, starting at 2016, steady increase as you talked about. And so I think one can look at the numbers and say, it's not just COVID that increased those numbers. They were increasing before that and are increasing now. And so what's the plan, to address that?
So continue staffing up. We're going to need to, especially Lincoln City. I'm going to use them as an example. They have, their call volume has just dramatically increased, where we're going to need to look at positioning ambulances a little differently, which is going to require an additional ambulance on. We utilize, so North Lincoln does have their transport ambulance. Typical year prior to this huge increase, they would use us 20 to 30 times a year. 2021, we used North Lincoln's ambulance 62 times. And this year we're on track to do about the same numbers so far. Part of it is, again, because of staffing. But point is, we have this robust agreement with them. We provide the billing service for them. They're able to help us. We're able to help them and their fire department, because they get 90% of the transport. We charge the 10% just to bill and collect for them. So it benefits them. It benefits the community is what it all comes down to have that resource. Yachats, they have one ambulance. If they have a heart attack patient they have to take to Corvallis, we step in and cover that district for them. On the same token, if we get 4 or 5 calls up north here and I only have 5 ambulances on, they help us cover that south end. North Lincoln Fire helps us with the north end if we need to. Again, if we have a critical patient that needs to get out of the hospital, we'll ask North Lincoln Fire to staff up their ambulance and cover us while we do that. When we go out of town, at minimum, we're gone for 3 hours. If we go to Portland or Riverbend, we're gone 5 to 6 hours. So it's quite a bit of time to be gone out of our system here. We balance what, the contract says. Interfacility transfers cannot affect the needs of the 911 system. We're trying to balance that because really it's a need of the community. And that's what we're trying to provide, is that need to the community.
That's all the questions I have for now. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I amend an
Of course.
answer?
Sure, sure,
Jacobson,
yeah.
you asked about the call volume. And you see that is during that time, we changed the number of our ambulances from 24-hour shifts to 12. We added additional units during the day, and we also added Walport in there because that was not a part of the earlier numbers. We began providing that service for ASA 4.
So when was that Walport switch? What year was that?
That was actually when I just started, so 6 years
16.
ago. Yeah,
Okay, right at the beginning.
right at the
Switch
beginning.
providers
Yes.
with a different provider.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
folks.
for the
Appreciate your
presentation,
time.
gentlemen. And again, this will come back to the Board of Commissioners on May 18th as a discussion item.
Thank you.
Thanks. Commissioner reports. I don't have anything today. Commissioner Jacobson.
No reports from me. Thank you.
Okay, understand we did not have any written input submitted. Mr. Miller, do we have anybody signed up for public testimony?
Yeah, I would ask that anyone who would like to provide virtual testimony.
Oh, that's right. We haven't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, we'll
virtual,
jump back
yeah.
to that. Please use the raise hand function. And that way we know you're interested in talking to us. And while we're waiting for those individuals, let's grab our sheet. So we have one in our audience.
Don Spielman, come on up.
Morning, ladies. Commissioner.
And just for you and for everybody who might be testifying, we've got a new innovation. That clock will convert to a timer clock to count down your 3
We have
minutes.
gotten ourselves to 2022 with a real clock, people.
At last.
I know.
Believe it.
Yeah.
All right.
Hopefully it won't take me 3 minutes. I just wanted to come up as you proclaim National Nurses Week. I would be remiss as our county, as our community health center president, not to mention those that were under our co-applicant agreement for the FQHC. And you know, I when I started using our health centers, it was all nurse practitioners, NPs, and we still work hard to employ nurse practitioners. And one of note that I'd like to make note of is our own medical director is an NP, Miss Amber Gross. And she does work hard. We're glad to have her. And, you know, the nurses throughout our system, we have all 4 school-based health centers, Newport, Waldport, Toledo, and Lincoln City are ran by nurses 4 out of the 5 days that they're open. We have maternal case management, which works out of public health. Those are all licensed nurses. And we also have, we had one intern in that group with maternal case management from OCCC nursing program. We have medical nurses and immunizations and COVID. We had extra nurses. And the CNAs all need to be recognized for the work they've done the last 2+ years now. And then we also have, I guess that pretty much says it. I just wanted to make note of our own nurses that work under HHS and under our co-applicant agreement for our federally qualified health centers.
Thank you. After they did the presentation, I thought I should have broadened it up a little bit and reminded everybody of all the other great nurses we have. So thank you, Don.
Right. So do we have anybody, Mr. Miller, for online testimony?
See Mr. Dahlman there.
I don't think anybody's raised their hand.
Oh, Mr. Dahlman.
Oh, he's raising his
Okay.
hand.
He's really raising his hand.
Okay, the old fashioned way.
Thank you. I can start the three-minute timer. Is that what I get?
Yep, we just started it.
Okay. So for the record, my name is Rob Dahlman. I'm the fire chief of North Lincoln Fire and Rescue. And I wanted to add some more comment to the presentations that you received. First of all, a couple of things that AMR brought up that I kind of take issue with. They said they've contacted EMS leaders in the county. I've never been contacted. Our fire district has never been contacted by AMR. And so I don't think that they're being forthright with that. Another thing they said is we could get into their buying power and get cutting edge equipment. Had they talked to us, they would have known that the two items they discussed, video laryngoscopes, mechanical CPR devices, our district already has. We're a licensed ambulance provider with Oregon Health Authority. We have a licensed vehicle. So I would think that our fire district would be a leader in the county if that's what they're going towards. They also brought up the fact that they're going to co-locate in the fire department. Again, not contacting us. We've never heard that from them. We have no intention of renting out space to AMR or any other agency. We're full. I have 6 fire stations. 2 of those fire stations can accommodate people living there. And we have 28 full-time employees. We staff both those stations 24/7 with engine companies. So I did want to say something about a question that I didn't hear either the commissioners ask is they're bidding on 4 ASAs, and this would be for both. Is this an all or nothing bid? Each one of these ASAs stand up separately except for ASA 2, in which your ordinance says you have to bid on ASA 1 or 3. So if they're awarded a single ASA in the county, does that mean that that's all they're going to get, or is this an all or one? Is this an all or nothing proposal that they're providing? North Lincoln Fire wrote a support letter for Pacific West Ambulance, and that was signed by me, but it was from our elected officials. Our board members agreed that we should support Pacific West Ambulance. We fully support them. Our command staff does, our volunteers do, and our union firefighters do. We had this discussion, and we are unified in our support for Pacific West. The one thing that AMR did that I take issue with is they contacted our union separately and asked for the support from our union. They didn't contact the fire district. So I'm wondering why they did that. Is that to drive a wedge between union and management? Or, again, our union came to me as soon as that happened and told me, first of all, they weren't going to do that because they agreed with the position that our board of directors and that I took.
Chief, we are out of time, but thanks for your input.
You bet. You're welcome.
Do we have anybody else online?
No, doesn't look like it.
All right, then we can move on to announcing that next meetings for the Board of Commissioners will be our office staff meeting Monday, 9 a.m. and then the next public business meeting for the board Wednesday, 10 a.m. 1 week from today. Both of these meetings are presented in a hybrid format. So,
Real quickly, I just want to say thank you, Casey, for getting our audio finally in a really good spot. So go, Casey. Yeah.
Go, Casey, and we'll see you next week.
Jamie.